Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of my Avatar The Last Airbender rewatch series. Hey, I'm Jared Woodcox. I'm the author of the young adult fantasy series Shadowcasters. Avatar is one of the biggest inspirations for these books, so I thought it would be a lot of fun to do a rewatch of every episode of Avatar, give my thoughts on them. This episode, The Avatar Returns, is super iconic. This is one that I remember extremely well. We have a lot of really cool stuff that happens. We get really good advancement of the characters. Obviously, we get our first look at Aang in the Avatar state. And even though we don't really understand what that means at this point, it's just so cool to see him do this and have this phenomenal powers. We see him waterbend for the first time. It's a really cool and a really memorable episode. Another cool thing about this episode is that it sets up something that I love about Avatar, which is we have really clear purpose and really clear stakes throughout the show. We know right away that they want to get to the North Pole so that Aang and Katara can learn waterbending. And of course, that's kind of one of the premises of this whole show is we know he needs to learn water and then earth and then fire and then defeat the Fire Lord, save the world. So it's really cool objectives and just really high stakes all along the way. And I love that this episode helps set that tone right out of the gate. One thing I really loved about this episode is that even though a lot of times he gets a bad rap or he's kind of like the punchline of a lot of jokes, I love that in this episode we see that Sokka is like legit really brave. He's the one that gets the war paint on, is leading these young little toddlers into war against a Fire Nation warship of all things. And when that warship approaches, Sokka stands his ground. He's not phased. He even has the audacity to rush Zuko not once but twice without any fear. And again, Sokka is just so brave and so fearless, and I feel like sometimes that gets glanced over. So I love how this episode shows us that despite all of Sokka's flaws and that he is kind of a goofball, he is legit really brave. One thing I didn't like as much about this episode, and let me preface it with I love the escape scene when Aang gets away from the Fire Nation ship. But you had before where Zuko was like, I've waited my whole life preparing for this, and yet he didn't know or take into consideration that Aang could airbend by just breathing. And I get it, Zuko's never seen an airbender before, but it just seems like he was way too nonchalant. If I were Zuko, I would have not let the Avatar out of my sight. So the fact that he kind of just lets him off the hook and Aang gets away pretty easy, I just felt like it wasn't quite believable there. And they do a good job of addressing at the end when Zuko's like, I won't underestimate him again. But come on, Zuko, you had him right there. You should have been better prepared. You shouldn't have let him out of your sight. Ranking, honestly, I'm close to an S tier on this one. It's really, really good again. Obviously, we get to see the Aang in the Avatar state for the first time and a really cool battle sequence there. The first fight that he really has with Zuko is pretty cool too. So a lot of things to really like about this episode. Ultimately, though, I am going to slot it in as an A once again, just barely ahead of episode 1. Really solid. I think there were still a few kind of eye roll moments in this one, and I know we're still building towards some of the amazing action and story sequences and character sequences that are going to make a lot of S tier episodes in the future. So going with an A ranking for episode 2, Return of the Avatar. And yeah, that's going to do it for my thoughts on this one. I'll look forward to seeing you for the next one that I know is an awesome one, episode 3, The Southern Air Temple.